Hello. Right, I am not as prepared as I thought I was. Where's my screen gone? Full screen. And we'll drop that on there. So, I think we are set. Okay. Sorry about the slight delay there. Thank you, Dreamy. Hi. So, today, I'm actually going to go back to working on storage again. I know I covered it a few streams ago. I am a little bit unhappy with it, and I will sort of explain what I think is wrong. Basically, in the storage, which button is it? Nope, this one. In the storage, we have a few problems. The first one is, here is our flag store, and here is our role store, and you will see they are identical in terms of the code. And the reason this sort of bugs me is that every single time I add a new thing to store, I'm going to have to do similar things. So this is the get for company method that will look for either flags or roles that have a particular company ID. And you will see that this is identical on both sides. It's just that one returns a flag and one returns a role, and one is attached to flag store and one is stub flag store, and one is attached to stub role store. And this just does not feel pragmatic, because in the application, I'm not running the application at the moment, let's see if it actually works. Here. In the application, I'm not finished adding things yet. I might have deleted my past stuff. New company, click, new role, click, bad thing, good thing. And if I click on the role, I'll do. You can tell that like there's still a lot of work to do on the UI and stuff, but okay. Submit. So we have, these are the basic components, but there's still a few things I want to add, including company values. So if you are looking for a job, it's really important to demonstrate that you align with, that you know, and that you align with the company's values. And so having those to hand really quickly would be really handy. I also want to add interview notes so that you can write out your interview notes into here and also sort of schedule them up. So I know I've got an interview coming up, sometime next week. I can put that in. I can come back to it quickly and find it and add more notes to it. I think there's some other stuff as well. I've not got Opera. Here we go. GitHub, VS Job Tracker, not pull requests, projects, Job Tracker. So there's some other stuff in here as well. Oh yeah, questions. I mean, I think this is a good one. If you're in an interview, they always ask, do you have any questions for us? And your answer for that should absolutely be yes, I do have questions. And you should know what they are ahead of going into that interview. I think that bug might be fixed. These are probably the two things that we're going to be working on next. I'm going to put those in progress. Whoopsie. Technically, it's these. So the application store, the context is also something that's a bugbear for me right now. But I just want to rethink how exactly I'm storing things. And I had in mind, it just feels like I've overcomplicated this. There's a bunch of stuff. I didn't even finish showing off what's wrong. So let's just close this. Another huge issue is we have these different stores. Not this one, actually, sorry. The stores are in store. So we've got like a JSON role store, which this one actually uses the stub role store into as a backing agent for, or a backing like database for itself. Yeah, this is fine because it doesn't actually write anything in this case. So I would think we'll probably find that if I go to flag, those will be identical as well. Yeah, they are. Anyway, we've got separate stores for company, flag, role, which I will want to expand as I add in values and interviews and questions. So I would rather not do like lots of work. Sorry, I've gone around in a circle. So the individual stores, in order to access them via the application, in here we have our Let's configure logging. Did I whiz past it? I did. Create stores. So JSON stores here creates a collection of stores. So in stores, we have JSON stores. Let's switch to this window. And you can see it's just literally company, role, and flag are individual stores. So the way you're sort of expected to use them is to go to JSON stores, get the company store, then get the then do the thing on the company store. So it's a bit of a chain of things. However, because we're using Dioxys as our application framework, we need our stores to be able to go between different threads potentially in a way that is more challenging to control. I'm not sure how to exactly phrase it. I will say, so for Idiomatic Rust in Simple Steps, the next chapter of the book is already out and is on Threads if you're interested. I'm about halfway done writing the script for it. But the store context wraps it's just a new type around an arc mutex with store type inside of it. So mutex allows us to access store type, a single store type, which in this case is a JSON store, and prevents anyone else accessing it at the same time that we are. And then the arc allows us to pass a reference to the mutex around between threads so that all threads can see the same mutex. It's very cool. Arc and mutex are very cool. But I was basically then left with a thing where I had in each of my UI components, wherever I made a change, so let's say, I think probably this one. Maybe let's open that back up over here. Whoops. So in the UI components where we were doing things like creating roles, we had this really long sort of stores dot lock, because we have to lock the mutex, dot get role store. Have to await the lock on the mutex. Then you can get the role store. Then you can get the do the thing you wanted to do, and then you have to await again. So to get around that happening inside every single component, the way that I worked my way through it was that I moved it out into this store context and put the behavior on that. Now, you might have noticed as I was switching, there's a horrible mistake with this, something I'm deeply ashamed of, which is the location of this file is in the UI. Why did I do that? This is not where this belongs. Also, every one of these functions has a separate name and has the behavior sort of entwined into it. A lot of the behavior is the same. So look, we've got self zero lock await flag store, self zero lock await flag store, self zero lock await flag store, over and over and over again. I do not like. So I want to get rid of this repeatedness. I want to move the store away. I want to make sure that as I add new things that could be stored, that I'm not adding tons of new work, that there is some sort of structure around the way that I add it that makes a lot of the problems go away. So what I was playing with over the last few days is whether or not I could have a very heavy reliance on traits. If I switch back over to, what did I call it? I think I maybe didn't do it on this, so it might be somewhere down here. Need to clean up these old branches. Better messages, store. What did I call it? I've got an open PR for it. Hang on. Go back. Pull requests. It's this one. I can just show you in here, and then I actually have to change. So this was a sort of a proof of concept of moving to a more generic based storing way of like structuring things. So for example, if I have a trait that has ID, I can then implement it. And I actually sort of have already done some of this on in the original code, but I want to think about it in a more structured way. So has ID can be applied to anything that can return an ID, which we're using UUID for. So has ID does work on UUID, but also on company is the one that I've written up here. So I can return the ID for company. Then, and I think I might unify these into two things, but We've got our improved store and our store by ID, which again, I think I probably changed the name of slightly. And a stub store, which is a similar one to what we were using before, all generics and things. But the important part is that when we implement it, we basically have this sort of extremely simplified version of what we already have in the main crate, which only deals with one thing at a time. So I've got my generic better store of type T that I'm implementing for my stub store of type T, which can be anything that implements where T has ID and is clone. And so I've got my simplistic... I have dumbed down this even further, in all honesty. So instead of having a create and update, I'm just going with a store. And now if the ID is already in there, I'll just delete it and then put it back in again. And here we have basically the same thing again. So this allows us to get it back so long as the query for an ID implements has ID, which again could just be a UUID. And it will return T, which has ID and is clone. And that means that on both the stored item, which we're getting from the internal array, and the ID, we have a method called .id, which we got from this trait. So we haven't had to do any sort of actual work with concrete types. And yet, down here, I can create a new stub store, place a company in it, and just by doing this internally, Rust knows that this has to be a stub store of type company ID, where the T is company. So the concrete type here has to be company because we've used store and then put a company into it. So you wouldn't be able to then put a role or something else into the same store. But if you were to do another store and then do new and then put a flag into that, then it becomes a stub store flag. So we've immediately got our behavior all written up quite nicely, which I'm very excited by the prospect of. So I'm going to share my notes as well. Let's see how I can do this. Let's just stick this. Oh no, stick it over here. So in this case, what I want to do today, or attempt to do over the next 3 hours-ish, is create these sort of suitable abstractions around the things that we are storing that they sort of have in common. So in this case, the two things that I already showed off were storing and recalling by ID, but I also need to be able to recall by name for when you do a search on companies, and I kind of want to add that into more like roles and stuff. You might apply to like 30 Amazon roles, so you would probably want to be able to search by that as well. Also, everything that's not a company is attached to a company, so we probably need this on everything as well. And so we'll have these generic traits that we then apply to the concrete thing. So there are we. So this is roughly what I was thinking: store by ID, recall by ID, recall by recall name, and then the implementation of this can immediately do the thing it's supposed to do, which means we don't really have to think about the complex differences between the different concrete types. We can just sort of do it. And we basically then get this sort of stuff for free. We don't actually have to do sort of company. You would just get, oh, well, okay, sorry. This is talking a bit further on, but you could create a trait of company store that combines these traits, and therefore anything that is company store must have these things. But if you have already applied those things, then it is a company store by definition, which is quite cool. We'll then move on to attempting to combine all of this inside of... just noticed something. He probably isn't watching, but I ought to. There we go. A friend of the channel, ManyLearn, wrote the theme for this, so I want to use it. I haven't set it in the config to be the default theme yet. Anyway, what was I saying? So the challenge is going to be that I want the collection of stores, the stores that the struct that contains the company store, the flag store, the role store, and so forth, I want those to also implement these generic things. Now, the challenge you might notice is that, well, if our type, say, get by ID, has a method that looks like this, then are we able to have a get by ID that returns a flag and a different one that is also get by ID that returns a role? And I think the answer is going to be yes, but I haven't got that far, so we'll see how it goes. Anyway, I am going to jump in. There is one more thing, which is if anyone is on stream and has feels about naming things, I have no idea what to call all of this stuff. Sounds like there's a lot of noise. I don't know if you guys can hear that. I have two concepts. One of... It's coming from outside. I have this typical streaming, isn't it? I was watching someone stream the other day and they had I think a car alarm going off for quite a while in the background, which is just very frustrating for the person doing the stream. I don't think it was actually bothering anyone watching it, but you know how it feels. Anyway, I wanted to differentiate these two things by things that are storable and things that are a store. And then also we have this sort of weird collection of stores that are all sort of together. We'll have our sort of, these properties are going to be the properties of objects that can be stored. So I've sort of divided it by these. Again, I don't know that this is the right name for anything, so I'm really eager if anyone wants to shout anything out in chat. Anyway, the store one as well, like properties of stores, but then medium doesn't really sit right with me. This is like how the thing gets stored. Whether it's stored in memory or stored as a file, and actually the one that stores as a file will do both because that's how I built it. And then the object store, this is probably going to be, as I mentioned, those compound traits where we have sort of company store is a trait that can be applied to any object that is stored by ID, recall by ID and recall by name, those sorts of things. So if those are combined together, then we should be able to get the more concrete ones. So this object store, weirdly, is probably also just going to be a collection of combined traits. Not sure how to sort of go in, because, yeah, this is the whole issue with sort of inheritance models. If I have the traits in here, where would I put the stub implementation of those traits? Or just to say that stub does already implement those traits, because stub will implement the traits that make up those other traits. So I just have to sort of say that it is that thing. We'll see. But yeah, names are horrible. So feel free to let me know what you think. Anyway, I'm just going to dive in and get started. If anyone has any questions or anything, let me know. But we will start by, let's have a look at our notes. I'll move these around actually. Let's, oops, get that over there. And, just making sure that's, okay. So, let's jump to creating some new directories. We are going to have, I am going to close my, sorry, I don't know if you guys can hear, I've got WhatsApp going on in the background. Hi, Yuri from the future, who's just telling me he's going to watch the video on demand later. I will close this tab. This is my fault for leaving open. Okay. So we have, where am I? Storage, source, and then So let's just go with what I have. Nothing's forever. We can always change names later. Storable. And trying to do this without going back to the trackpad too much. Property. And what I probably actually ought to be doing is not doing it this way. So there's a nice trick in IntelliJ that allows me to add things from here. So I can do mod storable. And then this will allow me to create that file. And then I can do mod property. Oh yeah, the other thing is I think that this is going to require, that was wrong. This is going to require a prelude because we're going to inject so many different types of traits that it's not going to be practical to import every single one every single time. So we'll probably end up doing a prelude that people can import instead of importing everything at once, which is going to include all of these properties and things. Okay, so we have, what was it? Has ID, has name, has company. Now, I mean, even with this, I'm kind of like, well, I haven't really thought about the separation. So, well, I think, okay, so I think this is going to be all right. If I was overthinking it, which I always do, I would say, for example, with has name, do I want to have both the sort of get and set name on this? And I think the answer is probably yes. But with ID, I never want you to be able to set the ID. The ID is created when you create an object, so that one will never be set. So let's just run through this. Has ID. FN ID. We don't need to do that, so oh, sorry, actually, first of all, this one's going to be UID anyway. But when we're returning name in a second, well, now, actually, trait has name, FN, no. So in this case, the underlying data is going to be a string slice. So I think this is probably okay. But I also think I probably want to do get name and set name. Am I okay with that? I think I probably am. And I am thinking the best way to do this with the set might actually just be to take ownership of self and return a new version of itself. And the reason for that is that we are more often than not going to care about the old version of this. And by doing this sort of transformative thing, you could, for example, chain together set name, set company, and allow it to propagate through. So sort of let new role equal my old role dot set name something dot set company something, and then you'll have your new role at the end, and the original role will no longer exist, which I think is probably the correct behavior in this case. But we'll see how it goes. As I said, nothing's forever, and this only lasted a few weeks, so let's see how we get on. As company, add trait. What? I was like, did I misspell that? No. I was actually having a chat with my dad earlier today. That's not even right. About how I'm not a big fan of. I'm not a big fan of AI generally. I mean, we've talked about it on stream a few times, but we were discussing a recent flop of a company that was supposed to do, was it build.ai or something like that? And it just turned out instead of using LLMs, they were just paying like thousands of people offshore to write code and stuff for them instead of like having an LLM do it, which is absolutely insane. And it was valued at $1.5 billion. And he was like, where's the regulators? And I'm like, there's none. There's absolutely none. Anyway, get company ID. Sorry, that's going to be a reference to, sorry, no, it doesn't need to be a reference. UID is copy, so we don't need to do anything with that. Set company ID. Oh, that's quite nice. So it actually did get that. However, sorry, we don't need to do this here. We can do. Have I messed this up already? Oh, it's because I haven't made anything public. That's why. So let's get that done. Do I be specific or not? I think no. I think if it's public in here, we will bring everything through. Although, actually, maybe we don't do it this way. This is how I have been doing it, and maybe I should be consistent, but... Oops. I could just make all of these public, couldn't I? That. Okay, so that should now be able to come through. No. Because I didn't make the actual things public. It says it right here, in fact, on this one. There we go. So now it doesn't actually matter if you are... You could set the company ID with the company itself, because the company will has ID. Never use, that's fine. Or you could set it with an individual UID. Both will be fine, and when Rust compiled whatever your code is, it will create functions for both of them if you use them, which is quite nice. Nice thing about generics. So that's that done already, which is quite good. So then we're going to move on to the 4 objects that we already have. Now, what do I want to do with this? I could just move the existing types, right? What would that look like? The storeable. I haven't made an actual... I don't think object is a protected word. Doesn't look like it. Mod. And we're probably going to want to keep a lot of this stuff as well. So we've got the partial EQ. I'm actually going to get rid of the name check here. It's only going to be based on ID. If it's got the same ID, it's the same company. Reason for that is the only way that you could end up with this being different is if you've changed the name. Or, I mean, obviously collisions are a possibility, but very unlikely with UUIDs. So in all likelihood, the only reason they'd have the same ID is because they are the same company who changed it or someone. Chris, hey, how are you doing? I might have just been talking about someone's stream with a car alarm going on recently. And that it was probably more annoying for the person doing it than the people actually watching it. I couldn't even hear the car alarm. I knew it was going to you. Hey, Dimitri, how's it going? Good to see you again. Yeah, the thumbnails have been fun. I haven't moved on to doing better thumbnails for the Iris series because I feel like I just want to keep it consistent. I couldn't hear it at all, Chris. I know someone else mentioned it, but I didn't notice it. Yeah, thumbnails I want to do a better job of once I've moved off the Iris series. There's threads coming up, which is written. Then I run into some trouble because the other 3 things I want to cover in the series that I feel are sort of like fundamental Rust language things that you sort of ought to know are async await, which you definitely ought to know and you will probably use all of the time regardless of what you use Rust for. The problem with that is there's no built-in language support for it, which means you in real life will always be using it with a crate. But I have not yet introduced the concept of crates and things, which I don't think I'm going to do in Iris. So I have been looking at how to write your own futures scheduler, which is non-trivial. And even the one example I found still uses someone else's crate for using a waker. So that's going to be a really challenging one. I did even think that would be the fun sort of members-only stream I could do in the future, but I don't have enough watch hours yet for members, so that's not going to happen. I'll just have to think how I'm going to deal with that. Unsafe Rust, similarly, the reason I wanted to cover it is you probably never will need to write, I mean, for a lot of people, I don't think you'll need to write unsafe code ever. So I'm going to come back to camera, sorry. I talk about this. So unsafe code, you probably will never need to write in Rust, but you will use it all of the time. Like lots of the standard library has stuff that is unsafe in it, in terms of the keyword, not that it is an unsafe library to use, which is a big reason why I actually wanted to do an episode on unsafe, is because it's a lot less scary than I think people think it is. But I can't think of anything that would be like worth writing about, like how, like here's a method that you might want to write yourself. One thing that you might end up writing unsafe Rust for is if you use an FFI, a foreign function interface. If you want to talk to C++ code using the C ABI, then that's the way to go. But again, it sort of like then becomes about including other libraries and things like that, which I'm not really keen on for this particular series. So not sure how I'm going to approach that. And then the last thing is macros, which I still, I don't think I've ever written a macro rules macro. I've written 2 proc macros, which are very different, and they are definitely not going into the series, just because borderline traumatic. But yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how to write those 3 episodes. So Threads is coming up, almost done on the script. The chapter of the book is there. But we'll see. After Iris, I have more ideas for things. Some of the things are less Rust focused. I know, like, honestly, yeah, I should be reading out the comments for people who are watching later on the VOD. But yeah, Chris mentioned straight as the macro defend. Yeah, proc macros. So weirdly, in some ways, I actually think I prefer them to macro rules, because if you're using the latest sort of crates and handholdy things, it feels a bit more explicit about what different types are. And yes, it's a lot more code, which is why you only ever use them if you want to do something crazy like write a custom attribute or a custom derived macro or something like that. But like they just, the types around it are feel a little bit more sane than the ones in the macro rules ones, which maybe is why I've avoided doing it. That said, I was thinking I might need macros in order to write tests for this utterly crazy way we're going to implement these new stores. So who knows? After Iris is done, then yes, I will move on to other things. I've got a couple of sort of things I want to talk about that are not Rust related, that are relevant to people who want to be software engineers, who want to, and actually want to be involved in software engineering, want to be involved in like things like hiring processes. I don't think it'll come as any surprise to anyone. I've probably mentioned it in previous streams, but for example, I really don't like leak code in terms of sort of interviewing people for the job, because no one writes leak code. I actually had an amazing interview with a company last week where I joked about this with them, that I didn't really like leak code because they were giving me one that wasn't leak code. It was more like what you would see on the job. So I said that was I really appreciated that. And then we hit sort of like the end of the interview with like the hardest part of the question. I'm like, oh, this is where you might actually like to think about these sorts of sort of leak code, aligning sort of dates, starts and ends and things like that. And she was like, well, we're only going to, this script is only designed to be run once a day. And so it's definitely a lot better to write code that people can read than it is to write something that's like highly performant. And I strongly agree with that. So we'll see. Anyway, leak code bad. So I might want to do a video on that. I also kind of want to do, even if it absolutely kills my channel, I kind of want to talk about politics and programming because I have strong feels about it. So that might be one that's coming up. So those videos will get much nicer thumbnails than the Iris series, but it has been fun doing some different ones lately. Anyway, sorry, back to the code. This button. Not that button, this button. So, right, let's go back. We have our has company. We have so we were moving on to objects. I want to create a mod company, pub mod company. And then I'm going to move everything into there. Hello, 891. I was showing off this earlier. I don't know if you recognize this. I think Rust devs are probably reasonably solid on the... you need to sleep. I think Rust devs probably are pretty solid on politics in programming, and actually a lot has been, if you go to conferences and stuff, there's usually someone talking about the politics of Rust in particular. I think I don't want to go too deep into that now, but I do think it's absolutely fascinating. And anyway, I'm going to go with a really controversial title with something like "Programming is Political if you're good at it." Just really rile up the people I don't like. Anyway, let's move on quickly. So I'm going to attempt to move this to storable. Alt-I, Alt-O. I don't know what those keys do. Storable. Oh, it won't let me move, and it won't let me see where I am. I'm going to do it from here. Sort of. Storable, object, company, open. So I'm not going to move the tests yet, or am I? Let's not move them yet. So we'll just move this. Refactor that anyway, should be fine, I think. So the test won't work. That's okay. And this is testing the store, which we're not interested in right now. So I might just delete this for now because, again, this is another one of those bits where it's just very repetitive. You can see, for those who were with me when I was talking about writing tests, this mod tests gets compiled if there are tests to run. But that's because I haven't made this public. That's why it's upset. Should be fine, actually. So you'll see, though, that these aren't tests. They're just functions that I have. And if I scroll further down, this contains all of the test code. But when I get down to here, we have another module for stub stores, which contains basically tests that just call those other bits of code. And same down here for, sorry, not there, JSON company store. I think, sorry, 891 is telling me how to Helix, which is fair because I am trying to learn at the moment. However, I think this did a fine job. Look, it brought everything that I needed with it. We aren't going to get rid of get name, get ID, has deleted, set deleted. Now that's interesting because I probably want to have a has deleted property, so we don't have that yet. Pubmod has deleted. I think has deleted is fine. It's the property of, like, it has a deleted property. God, these are maybe not fine. See how we get on, eh? Pub traits, traits has deleted, and then I think what we'll do is we'll do an is deleted, get deleted, which I think, if I remember rightly, is a date time. No, option timestamp makes sense. Yeah, I think we'll keep that as an option. So it may or may not be. If it is not deleted, then it won't have this. It won't return. Oh yeah, I made my own timestamp. That was probably not sensible, but we'll see how that gets on. And FN. I think what we actually want is probably just a delete. Maybe okay, so this is, I'm going to go into this as well. This one's a bit more complicated. So again, I'm building an application, desktop application. So getting the time on desktop is fine, but getting it on web in the front end is not fine, as it turns out. What I might do is mark this with a conditional compilation tag, CFG, and then I think I've got one called desktop. Oh no, sorry, feature desktop. There we go. So if being compiled for desktop, you can just delete it. We don't want to do that. I think what we'll do is, maybe we don't need to make a mutable reference. Maybe we just do this like we did in the other one. So this is basically the same as when we set name. It's just going to delete the thing and return a new version of it. I think that'll be fine. It is, okay, not read anymore. So let's work our way through the changes that we wanted to do here. So I think this will be okay. I will probably leave this like this, even though I'm moving into more generic land, rather than creating sort of a trait for this kind of behavior, because a role can only belong to a company. So it makes sense that the company can create a role. I think that's probably okay. What I ought to be doing is writing some tests. So let's move into that. Oh, do you know? Here's something that I don't think that Helix can do. I'm going to split the thing. I might get rid of this for now because we're not running the code, so that's fine. And then I want to be able to see what I'm doing, so test EQ. I mean, technically partial EQ. And the reason that I think that it's still important to do stuff like this is that even though I'm sort of writing a test for partial EQ, I want to make sure that my partial EQ methodology is sound. So we'll do identical companies are partial EQ. I have to remember that it's equality. No. Yes. No. Equivalent. I did a whole episode on this. Well, not a whole episode. It was a big part of one. Let's company 2, not that. Company 1.clone. Set EQ, company 1, company 2. And then we want companies with the same ID are EQ, partial EQ. Snippets LSP, though yet to set it up. Okay. So apparently you can do that in Helix, but with snippets, but you have to set it up yourself, which is fine because I do end up doing a lot of sort of manual setup of those sorts of things. We'll just repeat this actually. Or maybe there should be multiple tests. Partial EQ, same company. And then we can drop the comments because the function tells us what it does. Close, delete, TFN, test, partial EQ, same ID. So this is basically going to be the same, but I've got a slight difference in that I'm going to change the name before doing it, which we can do via dot. Oh, we can't do any of that yet because we haven't implemented the thing. So we're going to drop all of these. And we're going to start implementing those traits that we just built. So it does not have a does a company have a company? That would be very silly. Hi, hello, person who is not a fellow Earthling. Hi there. Has ID for company. Self.id should be fine. Impl has name. This is the one that I actually care about right now. Yeah, the AI, I don't know if you guys saw that, but the AI was making a suggestion as to what to write here, which was entirely wrong. Not even close. That's not a method that this has. Very disappointing. Self.name. I think I should just be able to do that. There we go. You can write Astra as well. Probably does the same thing, but we might as well just jump to using the deref. And then we would like to do a company with, let's rename this to name. Might want to do that in the original as well. Probably haven't. AI inline suggestions are always perfect. says 891, and I always keep them on because they aren't a waste of time. They are, yes. I don't know if I can turn them off now in here. Or maybe is it a plugin? I know that there's this. I would just really like to get rid of the inline suggestions. 891 says, yeah, you can. It's a JetBrains one. Cool. Let's find it. How did I get there? I have a lot of stuff in here that I could just turn off, and this is probably worth doing. If you are using any JetBrains IDs, every one of these you turn off will save you some memory. I've clearly not gone through and done it on this one. Look for the same swirl logo. Yeah, I think you're right. Did I miss it? Full line code completion. Multi-token. This sounds like it, doesn't it? I don't. Why? I think because I've zoomed in my IDE, I actually can't see that, which is very slightly annoying. Okay, there we go. Do we think it's that? Let's give it a go. 891 being critical of the fact that they've got support for less. Is it 2009? I have personally, for a lot of stuff, just gone back to, I mean, we've discussed this before as well. I have just gone back to writing pure CSS a lot of the time. I haven't used less in a really long time, but I think I might upgrade myself to Sass at some point. Oh yeah, that won't actually work that way. I have to do name dot into, should be fine. So this will return a new company that contains name and will take ownership of everything else in self, which means that if we come back to our test, we should be able to do dot set name, new name. Very original, Daniel, well done. And if we actually go to here as well, maybe I'll change this. Oh, hang on a minute. Is import going to do the right thing here? Import should, right? I think it's dynamic dispatch that... Dyne is the one that I don't want, I think. I'll leave it for now. Import into string. I have a funny feeling that this is okay. Obviously, normally what it might do is do like s implements into string like this, and that would probably be okay. Do I just change it? Use the old-fashioned way. And so the reason I'm sort of umming and ahhing on this one is that I'm not sure if this will do a dynamic dispatch, because in a generic version, for each time you use the new function with a different type for S, Rust will basically compile a version of that for that. I'm not 100% sure what it does with impl. What I might do is just use the generic version instead. Oh, I can't change. I'll leave it for now. I'll have a think about it and come back to it. Let me write a note somewhere. So I want to check what impl does on parameters. My all-time favorite thing on this is being able to wrap anything with anything. It's absolutely brilliant. Okay. 891 says, but then I've been doing Ruby on Rails exclusively for 18 months, so I literally cannot talk. Nothing wrong with Ruby on Rails either. I don't know. I think I saw sorry, going on a slight digression again, as usual. I saw something on LinkedIn where someone was comparing using the terrible energy use of using LLMs to code versus the terrible energy use of using Python instead of C++ or Rust. And I just felt like that was disingenuous in terms of proportions. And I really don't like people going after like languages like that. Like I really don't like Ruby and I do not like Python, but I would never tell anyone that they are bad programmers for using them or that they shouldn't use them. You should use whatever makes you happy. I think there's a huge, like, there are a bunch of reasons to pick certain languages, but speed is not actually as big of a reason as I think a lot of people make out. So I don't like it when people make sort of like the scales of difference in sort of energy usage. Sure, like running Python will take 75 times more power than running the exact same code in Rust. But if your program lasts for 1 second each time it's run and it's not run that often, then who cares? It really doesn't matter. And I don't want to go over my stupid example of the one time I used Rust in production being a mistake, even though it was, what did I say, 4 times faster, 5 times more memory efficient, because the scales just weren't worthwhile. And it put the other engineers off working with it, which then has a knock-on effect of cost of like engineering. So anyway, there's a massive Danish thing wrong with Rails. Some amazing Ruby engineers out there. Yeah, I know quite a few people who program in Ruby and are just brilliant programmers. It's just personally not for me, and I think I will still come to their defense when people complain that it's a bad language and they shouldn't use it. Like, use what makes you happy. just write good software. That's the main thing. You can write terrible software in Rust, as we are currently solving in my own project. Okay, so this will create a clone of company 1 into here, but then we're going to replace that with this one. So those two should still be the same, even though the name's not the same. I could do like a assert ne company1 dot get name. Did we decide? Get name company2 dot get name. These are public fields here, but I might stop them from being public elsewhere in the program. I think we'll decide later. We would like to duplicate this and do partial EQ after delete to make sure that even if it's been deleted, it's fine. And it's pretty much the same thing. Delete. Give me a second to think this through. I'm pretty sure. So where did we have the has deleted here? I think if I check in here, this is enabled for test as well as the feature desktop. So we should be okay we just need to implement it for company. That is what's currently missing, right? Has name, has ID, needs has deleted as well. Import has deleted for company. And implement. Thank you so much, by the way, 891, for getting rid of the AI nonsense. That's so much nicer. Self dot date deleted dot is sum. I can just copy this bit. Here, whoops. And I'm pretty sure we made this, we'll need the same CFG on this one, otherwise it won't work half the time. And we need test as well, which is the same. Did I update that? I bet I did not. Oh, it's like an and something, any. So if any of those are true, then that's true. Go back to company, do the same here. Okay. Date deleted equals Oh no, hang on, we're going to do return self, so it's going to be company date deleted some timestamp now. Let's see what PHP without Franken PHP is intentionally very wasteful. I don't know what Franken PHP is. I've been out of the PHP game for a long time now. It won't resolve because of this. Delete. I think in this case I might do assert not company1 company1 dot is deleted and assert company2 is deleted. It lets PHP run without rebooting the app. Do you mean because PHP is like a one-shot every time you run an application in PHP? Yeah, so with PHP it's quite an interesting thing. I mean, you can write PHP code that runs forever, but that's not how it's really designed. PHP is sort of designed to take an incoming request, handle that request, and terminate itself. However, yeah, there are ways around that. I haven't come across Franken PHP yet, but that sounds quite useful. Because there's costs to starting up and closing processes. I don't know how the PHP runtime deals with it internally, though. A lot has been done over the last couple of decades. Certainly over the last decade, PHP has improved in speed enormously, as have many of the sort of just-in-time languages like JavaScript and Python and Ruby. 891 still doesn't like PHP, which is fine. I used to really enjoy it. It's got a soft spot for me because it's where my career started, but I don't really want to go back to it. And it was quite a challenge when I had a job that required me to sort of deal with WordPress. It was nice knowing that I was a better engineer than the agency who had built that particular WordPress instance, who had made a few mistakes along the way. But yeah, not something I really want to return to. Anyway, let's just run these tests quickly, see what happens. We should get one failure, right? Because we have a lot of issues here. Tray bound. Okay, I think we've probably, this is in company mod, so I think we've probably broken a lot of stuff here by taking, let's think about this. Sorry, what was the actual error? Problems. I have many. Oh yeah, because I deleted all of those. I might just delete this. I think that's probably the way to go, right? So the problem is this destroys basically all of the stores, but we're on a branch. So let's see. Sorry, 891 says that's exactly why I don't like it. I assume because WordPress. And WordPress is just, it's such an amazing piece of technology. Like it's really, from a pure technical perspective, it's both brilliant and really upsetting at the same time. I don't know how else to describe it. It's brilliant in that it does exactly what you, a user, need it to do. It's horrifying in the way that it does it and then the way that you build for it. But it's also brilliant because it's extremely accessible. But that also means that there is a lot of sort of mucky code, which is fine. Symphony is really PHP's crown jewel. I never got on with Symphony. It was better than Zend, in my opinion. And again, these are loose opinions. If you like Zend, that's absolutely fine. If you like Symphony, that's great. I just personally never got on with Symphony. I'm sure that's probably come a long way since I last touched it as well. I think I last touched it in 2016, so that was 9 years ago. Gosh, I'm old. Symphony code is everywhere in PHP land. That's probably good. I mean, I remember it being well written. I think it was the framework. I think what I really liked about about Symphony were the individual libraries. I think I didn't like the overall sort of the like if you use the entire framework, that I wasn't keen on, but the individual libraries I really, really liked. Right, let's get rid of this as well. None of that's getting used anymore. I think we will probably be getting rid of all of this in short order, but let's just keep going. So now I should be able to run these, hopefully. Still no. Yeah, I'm going to start running into a lot of issues now because of how tied together everything is. And maybe this is a sign that actually deleting all of this was a good thing, because these are not organized in sensible ways. So I'm going to do something crazy. I know for a fact I don't want anything from either of these two. Oh no, because I've made a mess. Look, flag, for example, is in here. Well, this is going to take a minute to disentangle. We'll just delete this. Can I delete the whole file? Yeah. Oh, I can just delete both these files. This whole folder. We're done with this now, right? We are done with this. Let's just delete it. Let's go into stores. Where we are using stores, we will just want to delete them. Let's just delete the stores. I don't want them. I think this time I'm safer on the deleting the stores thing. All of the other code is going to break. I don't mind. Okay, let's try again. Mod company, that's fine. This is all gone. This is going to be harder to get rid of, but wait, we are testing the JSON stuff here. I think I'm going to get rid of this as well. Let's just check where we are. Yeah. Going to risk it. Risk it for a biscuit. And try again. Cool, don't care about that. That. Any of this. Oh, these are the special. Oh, this is gonna start to become a problem, isn't it? Don't care about these. It's only, actually, to be fair, it is what I said earlier, which is that I don't think I care about these. I just care about the ones inside. There's a lot of stuff is going to break. I'm okay with it because the entire functionality is going to change. Why are you sad? I don't think you should be back. Did I delete too much stuff? Oh, I deleted way too much stuff. What? Okay. And here as well. Company.rs, get deleted, get ID, set ID. That's fine. That is all fine. Actually, we can probably just delete those ones. Oh my goodness. So now we are in store flag mod. I think we're okay getting rid of the tests as well. I mean, the actual tests that I need to get rid of are probably just the ones to do with store. I bet there's some that are to do with flag. We want to keep those for now. Do I? No, because these are testing the other thing, so I think all of this can go. That'll be the same over on this one. Oops. Can you go into this, see tests highlighted? And that should be the same, and then this should be... Yeah, we'll get rid of all of this. This is a lot of stuff getting deleted. It makes me nervous. There's a lot to put back, and we're already an hour into the stream. We'll see how we go. We'll see how we go. So run again. I am going to drop this off the crate because I know that I will be exporting those. Okay, so we knew, okay, this is perfect. So I knew that this would not work. The IDs are the same, but the names have changed. And I knew that that wouldn't work because I copied the old logic for partial EQ, which I've already decided that I want to change, which is here. So I just want to get rid of that. And then I want to run the test again. And this is why it's kind of important to write your tests before you start writing your code. I know TDD preacher here, but it means that you can write down how you expect your code to perform, like what you expect your code to achieve before writing down the thing that gets it achieved. And that means that you will always know that you have passed the test correctly. Anyway, what we don't have is one for test partial EQ, different ID, which is what actually matters. And for that, we can just copy this. So now those look like they're identical, but these should no longer be equal. So assert NE. Run again. Should get our fourth test in there. And now everything passes. Great. So that is one object down. We haven't even moved on to the stores yet, but let's keep going. Where's my magic button? This one that I rely on a lot. I can probably get rid of this for a moment. So next we want to do a role. We will create a role.rs. And we will find our role in here. See how this was all terribly named, by the way. The mods shouldn't really have this stuff in them at all. F6. I can't actually see it this time, so I might just storable. I wish there was autocomplete on this. Actually, maybe I don't trust it without autocomplete. Object, role. Refactor. We are... Oh, did I hit the wrong thing? What have I put in there? Oh, import role. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. Storable. Object, role. Open. Refactor. I missed something there, didn't I? Pub, traits, role. Don't care about that. That's fine. Refactor. And role store is going away. We won't be using that tool, which means I can now completely delete role. Delete. We can move back over here and we can think about how we're actually going to build this. This should go down, I think. There is a proper button for that somewhere. I don't know what it is. Partial EQ, I think, again, we will stick with... oh, yeah, this is an interesting one. So this one, I was nervous about having company IDs with roles that are the same. I obviously included ID already, which is a UUID, which doesn't matter. Let's put the test in first again, just to make sure that we get it correct. All of this can now go away. But now we have something called description. So I think that we need a new property for that. I'm going to copy name. Wait, no, I'm not. That's going to be silly. Pub traits. So the slight downside to this approach is that I have to create a method for getting and setting each property on each... I don't know how to describe it. So each object, storable object, will need these traits to be applied to it in order to avoid having to write more code later, which might just be moving everything up the sort of the chain of requirements. But I'm hoping that this makes the code easier to maintain in the long run. We will see. So I want basically the same thing again. So it's going to be fn. Is it get and set? Can't actually remember. What do we have in name? Yes, it is. Get description. Believe this is going to be a Astra 2. You might have noticed that this is now Markdown, which I'm very happy about. Lets you style it up. There are risks with Markdown, I think, but again, because it's running on your machine, I think it's probably okay. Description. This is back to into string. Oops. S, and we will return a new self. So we're just going to keep doing that pattern, I think. Let's see how it goes. So back over to role. We want to basically implement, let me do a split again. So I've got it there that I can see. We've got ID, company ID, name, description. Data applied, it's another new one that we didn't have before, so probably have something for that as well. That, however, actually, maybe I don't, because you can't, this has nothing to do with the actual storage. This is just additional data. So with name, we will be recalling things by name when you do a search. For description, I don't think we're going to yet, so I'm not going to do it. Oops. Oh, okay, that's fine. So, problem with this is that you can't jump back to a file that you want two of them open at the same time without closing the split. Anyway, that should be fine. So, impl has ID for role. Control I, ID, self.id, impl. So now we get into the more interesting has company. And self.company ID and role company ID. I should rename this. Is it Control B? Command B? Nope. Go to declaration. Command B. Oh, maybe I just did the wrong thing. No. Command B. There we go. Oops. Sorry, I'm just going to rename that company ID or set company. That should be fine to do that. Set company ID. So where my brain is with this is that we could use an ID. Oh, I'm kind of already done it. So the issue is that you could theoretically throw a flag in here because a flag has an ID, which isn't really, it will compile but then not behave correctly. So there's a bit of a degree of like, should it maybe be a that you have to set the company as the actual company, but I don't really want you to be forced to load up an entire company if you already have the ID to hand. Would you ever not have the company to hand though? I think no. So maybe I just drop all of this and just make it requires a reference to a company. I think that's probably the best thing to do. So this will obviously be wrong now. So we'll just change this. Oops. And company ID becomes company should have a interesting. Is it because I haven't brought that trait in? We did do that. Company implements has ID, right? We didn't. Oh no, we did. Oh, it's just ID. Okay, maybe I'd rename this to get ID then. I think it's possible the reason I didn't have that earlier was because I was mucking around. When I was mucking around with the proof of concept earlier, I wasn't deleting all the old things, so it was getting a bit confusing. Let's just see now. Yep, seems all right. There we go, and there's our self. So what did we have next? We wanted... This is why I need the split. I need to stop jumping around. Going back up to the top. Company ID, name, description, date deleted. The reason that deleted probably still wants to be a property is because, again, it does matter for storage because we probably only want to recall things that are not deleted. So then the question becomes, have I overthought these properties? And the answer is probably yes. Let's keep going. Impl has name for role. Because we usually... Yeah, let's cut it down. I'll have to edit the tests. That's the only thing. Okay, I'm going to come back to this maybe. I'll leave it for now. So my thinking is the set functions aren't necessary for the storage aspect. So I've got the get name is going to matter for storage, but set name is not. So I feel like it probably shouldn't. I'm going to delete it. It's going to break all of my tests. Okay, has company. Don't care. Has set deleted. So I only care about is deleted, I think. I don't think I care about get deleted. Has ID, get ID. Has name, get name. Now, the problem is this will break my tests, so I'll have to go and fix those, but that's not a big issue. Yeah, we'll have to delete these. Also makes that complex sort of conditional compilation go away. So this is all also fine. Is it? Pretty sure it is. Company clone. That will be the same company. And then I can do should probably stick to using the same way of creating strings, at least in close proximity, and not just mix and match them. Okay. This is only test code, so I care a lot less that it's not as pleasant. So that one's deleted. And that one doesn't matter. Have I missed one? Apparently not. Okay, moving back onto roll. Yeah. This should also make, again, since a lot of this was about reducing the boilerplate, removing these things should make the code just a little bit more bearable as well. Has deleted. Roll. Self dot is self dot state deleted dot is sum. Again, If I were going like way out of my way on an actual professional job, I'd probably be checking the date deleted in the past and stuff like that. Don't think it matters. So we've got name, company ID. We've got all 4 things implemented here, so we can move on to tests. Tmod, tfun. And we probably want reasonably the same thing, so maybe I'll just copy over the company ones. Oh, these were on partially queued. Do you know what we didn't do is we didn't test the other implementations. Do I do that now? Okay, do you know what? I am going to break my own rules for the purposes of it not being very entertaining if I go through every single one, write all of the tests out at the moment. I will make sure I do that before I create the PR for this, which will be after the stream at some point. Let's just keep going for now. I think I'm happy with that. So then I need to move on to flag. Feel free to tell me off in the comments. Then we want to move the flag. Why do I have display on this one? Flag color. Oh, yeah. Why do I have display like that? That's interesting. Oh, I think this was for storage purposes, right? I wanted to turn it into... I think that is probably what it is. Or is it? No, why would I do that? From string... We can already serialize and deserialize here. I'm not sure we need these, but we'll hold on to them for now. We'll just move both those at the same time. Refactor anyway, everything will break. That's okay. Don't care about the flag store, which means this entire module can now go. Fantastic. In fact, the entire store can go. Yeah, we're going to be rebuilding all of this. So yeah, this was another issue. Why this has been broken down into multiple things now is because we had this sort of like concept of a store, which allowed you to find things in certain ways. I don't think it was ever necessary. In fact, you may not necessarily need to find a flag by name, for example. So we may not necessarily need to do that because the properties are specific to the storage and recall of these objects, and I don't think we necessarily need to do it that way. So we ended up with this weird thing where we had like this stub store. We then sort of implemented store for stub store. The whole thing was actually a bit of a mess. Again, none of this should be here. This is why these are the things that keep me up at night. So that's now all gone, which is great. Flag. Let's work our way through this. I'm going to delete this. I am a bit nervous about it. What I think it is it might have been necessary back when I had real databases, when I was trying to use RocksDB and libsql. I think that was the problem. I think that I wouldn't have been able to store them in any other way. But now that I'm storing them in JSON files, I think it's enough for these to be serialized and deserialized. I don't think it's going to worry about anything else. We've got this rename here. Yeah, I think it's fine. If it's not, then the code exists in the Git history and it's not the end of the world. Again, delete these. Don't know why that was so complicated. None of that is necessary. We're going to delete these. I'm going to have to go and find these, aren't I? Where are you? Where are you? Ugh. We can... Oh. Hey, that's a good idea. Yeah, some of these might be worth implementing for types that already implement them. So, okay, this looks a bit crazy. Import t get ID for reference to t, where t already implements get ID. the reason for this is that if I have a function that takes getID, I may want to allow it to take a reference to getID, because it makes no difference. ID is copy. So I think I might go through and do that for these as well. So it would look basically like import has company for, actually, sorry, it's going to be import T, whoops, has company for a reference to T where T has company. Did I, not all trace? And then you can do self.getID. Is that how we had it? So this takes the reference to self instead of, sorry. This would be a reference to a reference. So we, because we know it has to be a reference to something. The only thing that I'm surprised by is that that's not sort of cyclic, because is a reference to something its own type? Let's not overthink it. If it compiles, it works. That's what people always say, isn't it? It's definitely not true. Actually, you know what? I don't think this is necessary. No, it is. I think, yeah, it's only necessary for passing the references into things. Let's not do it for now. We'll do it when we need to. Store's gone. Utils. So that is the logic. Not going to worry about it. All of this is gone. Get, set, get. You're all gone. Create name store. I think this can go away. What on earth was this? Create name store. We're returning. Oh, create name sort. Oh, yeah, okay, fine. We will probably keep this, but we'll use has name instead. Should work. Why? Is it because I failed to include... We'll do create at this point. I don't want it to go public more than that. I want to think about how I'm going to properly export these things. You are still sad. Why? Use, let's work this out. So it's going to be create storable property, isn't? Okay, cool. Am I wrong? Nope. My goodness. Property. Okay, I probably don't need to do that anymore. I can probably just alt enter on this one. Something is wobbling on here, isn't it? There we go. Okay. My big monitor was rubbing against the laptop holder. So apologies if anyone was getting driven crazy by the knocking noise. Right, I think we're done with this. Partial name FN. I am really curious about this. I wonder why we were using it. I bet we're not anymore, and that's going to bug me, isn't it? Okay, let's just get rid of it for now. I'm 100% sure this was actually being used for the I don't know. Don't know. Gosh, I'm going to get to the end of the stream and realize that I have basically just ruined the entirety of this, haven't I? Oops. Has name. Has ID. Has deleted. Oops. Nope, don't care about that. Cool. Let's look this through then. So we have got methods for creating new green and red flags. Oh, and that's it, apparently. Should probably move these up to closer to the thing that they're actually about. Delete that for a second. Come and bring it back up here. And that is our code for that. So next, we are moving on to the stores themselves. So this is going to get a bit interesting now, I think. Why do I have one called store.rs? Probably both. Oh yeah, so this is going to be like the base of the store. I think that's probably fine. So store.rs itself is going to describe how to get and how to store something and how to get something back by ID. In both cases, ID are required, so it's okay for them to be in the same trait. Whereas recall by name and recall by company, it's not going to be used by everything. So why? Okay. Right. If I rerun this, will it give me errors? Yeah, great. Let's just make sure we've cleaned up a little bit before we go. But we did get some problems, right? No? Where do I see the issues? Ah, here we go. So these just aren't used. I think that's okay because we will be using them imminently. So storable, done. Maybe I call this storage. And I'm not keen on having store and stores, so this is where I really could use some help with the naming. Okay, let's go with... Okay, so here's another slight mind bend, right? These are going to be for storing individual things, and so they will be stores. But the issue is that when we have, this is an individual store. When we have stores, the stores will also implement these. They're going to be more collective. It's not actually, probably best to do that. Oops. There we go. It's going to be more like a collection of stores. It's a word I'm looking for that also begins with C that describes it a bit better. No idea. Come back to it. Let's just start with the stores and the properties and the mediums. That's probably going to be the first things we need to deal with. So, nope, don't know why I'm commanding there. We've got storable. I am going to call this storage. Nope. Whoops. Storage. And oh, I'm doing it wrong again, aren't I? So go here. Pub crate mod storage create mod.rs, and then in here we will do pub property. I think that's what we had before, right? Yeah. Pub mod. So now we're going to have something similar, which is going to be the recall by, but we will also have our main one. So we'll start off with that pub mod store. It's almost like a store base. I'm trying to think of something to call it other than store, because I know that all of this code is going to get into a mess when I go into the desktop and UI aspects of the application, because I've just mucked up with the storage so much, or mucked with the storage so much. We'll do base store, I think. Base store. Also puts it high up in the list alphabetically. So I do kind of miss the this is where we've gotten to with the whole like AI thing, is that I'm almost certain that it did used to suggest things like, oh, you're in a file called base store, maybe the thing you're creating should also be called base store, and that's gone away now that they've got the AI thing. I'm almost certain that's a replacement. Never mind. So this is going to have an async function called store. So what we're going to want is a type of a storable. And I believe that might be enough. So we would like mute self. This is a bit of an odd one as well. So with, say, a database, you wouldn't actually need to mutate the struct that is wrapping your database, because the thing that actually gets mutated is the database in the background. It's almost like interior mutability. However, for the things like the stub store, which just uses a vector as a part of it, you actually will need to mutate the thing that is containing it. I mean, I suppose we could do something like using a RC or something for interior mutability, but I have literally never used one and I'm not going to start now. So let's think. Storable T. This is going to return a result. It's going to return a result from anyhow, though. So we don't want a normal result, we want an anyhow. Do we want an anyhow? At this point, maybe we don't. Maybe we want a storage error. It's another one to think about. I'm going to leave it as an anyhow for now. And I'm not going to return anything from this function. Do I call them all by ID? Think about this. This will not need to be mutable because we're only getting the data. Okay, so this will also need to be clonable. Self ID I. So you might be wondering why I have two different types for T and I. T is going to be the storable. So that could be a role or a company or something like that. So that's the thing that we're getting back. But the thing we're using to ask for it may not be a company or a role. Like if we use T for everything, then recall by ID would require the same thing that's basically coming out of it. So we need to put another thing in that has ID in order to get it back out again. So that could be just a UUID or something like that. Most usually it's probably just going to be UUID. I think that's it. Didn't make it pub. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next one then. So next we want to do pub mod recall. I'm going to go with recall. Right, recall by name. Yeah. Maybe I will just quickly duplicate that. Create that. And then this is going to be pub trait. Recall by name. This is also going to be T, where T has name and clone. So this is where it gets a bit more interesting because I deleted all the code. I can't actually remember how some of this works, but I think there are two methods. One is find by name exactly, and one is like find by name sort of a fuzzy match. Because I don't think I ever will want to say like, give me Amazon exactly, partly because there could be multiple Amazons. I'm actually only going to write in the find by name that will return a vector of results. So we'll do that. Async fn recall by name. This 2 needs to be a different type. Yeah, I think that's okay. Self name n returns a result. Sorry, not async anyhow. Result. Can I then fix that over here? Sorry, first of all, let's do t vec_t, and then can I type alias? Substitute by type alias. No. Oh, yeah, there is that. Unaligned lifetimes, I don't want that. Okay, so... Oh, that's a bit annoying. I just wanted to see if it would do that, basically. It's fine. We will simply copy this, find by company. Company has company. Recall by company. This will also return a vector of results. Let's rename this to C and company and company. Okay. Oops. I think it's just that hasn't been used. Yep, that's fine. So those are the main ways we will get stuff. Oh, is that? No, that's fine. Okay, so later on we'll probably have things like an interview is for a role, so we'll have to go one level deeper on that. I was just thinking about within the application itself, you have like the list of roles and then the role description, but that's still one object, it's still the same thing. So being able to get by ID for the bigger bit and get by company for the smaller bit is fine. Okay. We're not doing too badly. I haven't had anything to drink. Sorry, give me a second to have something to drink. And also I'm going to take a moment to thank my current Patreons with this button. I'm still terrible at drinking water when I'm on the stream, and 3 hours is a long time to not drink anything for. Although I'm sorry if moistening my mouth has now made me sound very weird. Let's go back to the code. Yeah, okay. Okay. So we have now got our properties here. So next we are moving on to the mediums. Again, I am horrible at naming things. This doesn't feel like the right name to me, but it is the medium in which they will be stored, I guess. I don't like it. If you've got better ideas, tell me in chat and I will fix it. But this is effectively going to be like the JSON store, the stub store. See how we go on, shall we? So we'll start as ever with the stub store. And I think this is going to be where I need to start thinking about testing a lot more seriously, because this is going to start mattering in a minute. But for now, we can... Now, how did I do this? In here, I basically did... Oh, yeah, so we are implementing the individual... So this would be this would actually be base store in this case. IT, I don't need to do it that way. This is a worse implementation than I had. It's okay for that to be on the function. I don't know why I had it up there. I think this is going to be fine. So we need to create our stub store initially. Pub struct stub store. However, we don't know what the type is going to be at this time. So it's going to be generic, and then internally we will have a vector of data. And we can then do, we can implement the struct store. Actually, it has to be impl t for, struct store. Oh my goodness, why am I doing stub store? T. And we will do a fn new. I mean, I ought to just implement default, because that would actually be fine. Do I do that? It's a lot easier, isn't it? That's right, derive, even not implement. Derive default. And you're sad because you're never read? Yeah, that's fine. So now we can go into impl base store. So T here is going to be, oh my goodness, Daniel, you were just reading the code. It's literally this, Daniel. Impl T base store T for stub store T. So again, all of these T's are going to be filled in the future. I can then put these in, and this should all be fine. So now we've got self.0. And actually, I'm going to copy this code again. It was so in this case, rather than having a create and update, there's just one function. So if it already exists, then it will. I have made a terrific mistake. Not a terrific one. I've just realized something really obvious, which is that in here, okay, sorry, let me go through step by step. So rather than having a create and update, I decided that if it's got the same ID, then you are like, if something's already in there, then you are replacing it. That's what you're doing. So just having a single store is fine. The way that it works on the stub store in my little proof of concept is that I use retain and just retain everything that doesn't have the ID of the item you're currently giving it, and then I put that item on the end. That should be fine. However, it occurred to me, like, why bothered with get with ID here? Because actually you could use partial EQ on this instead, and you could, in all of the cases, this was the whole thing I was trying to avoid. In each of these objects, we have written a little partial EQ. We don't need that, because what we could do is import partial EQ for T, where T has ID, right? So let's just do that and see what happens, because we already have one test for it. Import partial EQ for T, where T has ID. That's right, it has to be import T. Implement members. We only have to implement EQ because NE is not EQ. So it's literally, it's a partial EQ Is there... Foreign trait implementation has no quick fixes for this problem. Only traits defined in the current crate can be implemented for arbitrary types. Okay. Frustrating, but fine. Is it fine? I think it's fine. Just have to live with it, won't I? Okay, well, forget that plan. I'm also realizing I've written a lot of code without doing a single commit, so that's probably bad as well. Let's do that. Storable objects and properties. I know I've gone a bit further than that now, but that is terrible commit hygiene. I'm very sorry. Very much a do as I say, not as I do type thing. That hasn't changed. There's something up with this where the one formatter is removing the spaces and one of them is putting them back in or something. I don't really know what it is. I'm just going to roll that file back. Oh, I'm just not going to commit it, I guess. I'm going to have to think about that one as well. I just put this back, so this should be fine, right? Oh, delete? What delete? That's not something that exists. Okay, well, let's do this one though. Sorry, store.0. Sorry, I'm just going to get the... Did I not copy it? Maybe I didn't copy it. No, looks like I didn't copy it to begin with. And this is storable. Now, sorry. This is an interesting issue. I am wondering if in the future I might require a... So this one I didn't make just a, what do you call them? Not a unit struct, a tuple struct. The reason being is I have a horrible feeling I might need phantom data in the future. So I'm going to copy this for now. Is that the right thing to do? I think it might be. I mean, worst comes to worst, then I've just named something. It's not really a big issue, I don't think. Don't know what you guys think. We'll rename this one to stored item, because that's the one at rest. T. This is get ID, just because I just renamed it between the POC and this. We do not need to clone at this point because we already own it with T here, so we can just push that on. It's another mistake from the POC, I guess. And then recall by ID, self.find, I think, self.store.find. Yeah, returns an item. Stored item. Stored item. It's literally the same code, isn't it? It's just a equals equals, but instead of a not equals. And then it's ID instead of storable. Equals, and then it's going to be okay or storage error not found. But that's not the correct type. Now, I'm not sure what the best way of doing this is because we don't own either type of result. So what I had earlier was basically this, as the thing being wrapped, has incompatible types. Where? So okay, or should be giving us, is this what I wrote earlier? I'm sure it is. Oh, .cloned, yeah, because I've got a, this is why we still need cloning. Expected item. Where? Here. It should now be, yeah, there we go. Okay, so the reason for this is that the okay or here gives us a result type of T, whatever that might be, and storage error, but we want an anyhow result at this point, I think. The reason I kind of want to stick with anyhow, even though we do control the storage errors now, is because the reason I introduced it in the first place was because I was using external tooling like the proper databases. So I want to allow for having that again in the future, which means having less specific errors, basically. So I do want to keep the anyhow error, but the irritating thing is that I can't turn a result, I can't import result into result, anyhow result for, can I? Let's just check that. Import into, no, sorry, into import from result T. Gonna need that T again. I think this is gonna be where it falls down actually. Storage error for anyhow result T. Right, I think that this is going to be one of those cases where you're not supposed to yeah, so this is the same thing basically, because we're talking about the result, not the error. I can't easily convert between the two, so I'm left with this sort of question mark, which will hit the anyhow from implementation. Would that work? Is that easier to read, do we think? I'm not sure either way. What I am going to do is take out the E. Oh, look there. That's all unhappy now. Type mismatch. Expected found result T torrent. Okay, yeah, let's just put it back then. Back, 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 back. Okay, there we go. Let's rerun that. Commit and push. It might or might not work. It probably is going to be sad about everything else. Yeah, so all the UI stuff is now mucked up. Commit anyway. It's just going to be broken. That's fine. So we've got our recall by ID here. It's back over here. We now need to do the other implementation. So import recall by name. Sorry, so this is the base store implementation for stub store. So it's going to be very similar stuff. But I think when we once we've gotten past this part, which just, okay, so my reason for thinking that this is better is that I don't need to write code for concrete implementations, only for generics, which means every single time I add a concrete implementation, I don't have to write more code. So even though I'm writing the same code for that I had earlier, I'm theoretically writing less of it, touch wood, and in the future I will barely have to write any at all, which will be nice. And again, I mean, I've got an hour before I think I want to stop, but we'll see where we get to. I don't think we're going to quite get to adding values, which I sort of hoped I would, but it's fine. Stub store, T. Implement, recall by name. And this is basically going to be the same thing. So it's going to be, except it's not going to be a find this time. We're going to do a filter, I think. So it'll be, okay, we'll do the same thing. Okay. Self.store.iter. I don't want to clone at this point. I want to filter first. See my video on iterators as to why I want to filter before I clone. And then we have the stored item. And in this case, I think I just want to see if it contains, right? So we've got stored item dot get name. I didn't add the where in here. Where t has name and clone. Dot get name dot contains. I almost think I want to do two lowercase, which actually means in addition to that, we'll do so that we only have to do it once. We'll do oh my goodness, equals name dot get name dot two lowercase. So this will give us a new string. It's fine. Maybe I rename this slightly. We'll call it search string. So that gives us our filter dot cloned dot collect. In this case, having an empty result is actually fine. So I don't think we need to do anything else. It's just okay. I'm okay with that. I think I'm okay with that. Yeah. And again, we'll try this out properly with tests in a bit. Recall by company for stub store. Now, what's cool about this? So, for example, a company is not has company. It could be, arguably, but we're not going to do that because it just gets confusing. However, you would still be able to create a company store. It just wouldn't get the functionality of get by company. So I'm feeling hopeful about this. Is actually going to be very similar to this. So we're going to create another iterator and collect it into, filter it and collect it into a vector. So this is what happens when I don't drink enough. We aren't doing search string. We aren't doing get name. We are doing get company ID. Don't need that. We don't need that. It's literally going to be equals company dot get company ID. I don't think we need to move this into a variable this time. I think this should be fine. So did we have any others? We have, sorry, it's the properties of here, base store, recall by company, recall by name. I think that's it. Did I just put all of this in mod like an idiot? Oh no, no one stopped me. Pub mod stub. Stub storage. I mean, it's literally the whole thing. It's not the end of the world. It's fine. It's literally just all of this. Oops. Okay, so there's stub storage. Then I want to do, let's just start with that, shall we? So the question starts to become, where do I write the tests for this? Because I will probably want to be able to write a test for getting by ID for company and a test for getting by ID for role. And those tests are going to look really similar. Kind of hoping that the sensible Rust people have all dropped off the stream by this point, because I know they'd tell me to use a macro. Let's have a think. The other thing is that it doesn't even, like the tests, I want them to be so generic that it almost doesn't matter that it's a stub storage. It should work on everything that implements those things. Ooh, maybe they belong here. Yeah, this gets interesting now, doesn't it? Where do the tests belong? I feel like here makes it less complex. But you are always going to want a store that has base store. But that doesn't matter. Let's start here. Let's start with this. I just kind of want to check that, like I said, that it's fine for company to be stored in a company store, even if it doesn't implement recall by company, because stub store does for T where T has company, which company doesn't. Let's see. I think if I'm confident with that, I'll feel a lot confident about everything else. And again, I'll probably come back and think about tests a bit more seriously later, because tests are super important, but they're not good entertainment. I don't know if any of this is good entertainment. I don't even know how many people are on the stream right now. Dare I look? It'd be a bit sad if it's dropped to 0. Oh my goodness, there's quite a few of you. Okay. Hello, silent viewers. Let's move on. So test. Company. Again, this is like super loosey-goosey. Let's just do let company equal company new name. So company, super imaginative. We want to be able to let's store. So this is you can't see this in the in here because it doesn't show you the types like it does on the actual editor where you've got the language support. But if I do equals stub store new, actually it's default, isn't it? So you can see we don't know what type the stub store is. However, that needs to be mutable. Let's store store dot store company to import the so we need to import the trait. Needs to be async, so we need to use Tokyo test. This becomes async, and this becomes an await. So you can see it doesn't actually matter. Honestly, okay, I'm really happy this. Oh, hang on, does it work? Stub store, trait bound, company default is not satisfied. Interesting. Okay, so we can't do that. That's good to know. Very weird. I've always kind of wondered about this because of the vec. So the vec default should be empty, so it really doesn't matter what the default for company is. We can't have a default company. That's not a thing that can happen. So we can't implement. We can't use the default. Default is implemented for stub store T. Is not required for no, don't want to do that. Okay, that's fine. I think maybe it might be that it's in the derived macro is wrong. In hi Evan, thank you for jumping in and helping with this. Do you mean that you can manually implement it for T without? Okay, cool. Okay. But then is it even worth doing? Like, could I just... okay, sorry. Evan's solution here is that the derived macro doesn't work because it's looking at the thing, but I could do import default for stub store T. And the reason is that T doesn't actually need to implement... oh, sorry. It's going to be import T. Should be fine. And then it's literally just like, whoop. Don't know what I did there. Stub store. Store. Make it a store. Vec. New. Derived macros assumes any generics require the same trait bound, but that isn't the case for Vec. Yes. So this would actually work. Thank you so much. But then the question is, should I just import stub store and make new, I guess? Like, does this have any benefit? It's probably fine. I mean, oftentimes when you do stub store, import stub store, oh my goodness, I have to put the T in again. T. So if I were to do fn new self, I probably would just do stub store default, which kind of, I don't know. I don't know what the best pattern on that one is. I will leave it as default for now. Default's kind of like a known thing, so it's probably okay. And actually, maybe contextually it does matter, because things like the JSON store will populate from the directory you give it where the JSON files are stored. So in that case, maybe it's not a default. I don't know. I think I'm overthinking it again, guys. Anyway, we'll leave it as that for now. So if we go back to wherever I was, base store, yeah. This should be fine. And like flags that do belong to companies should also be fine. Thank you again, Evan, by the way. That was really helpful. Flag new, I think then like new green, company ID. So we will need a company. Oops. I am very bad at typing. Company name. It's not actually written. I've not written a test yet, have I? Aha. So, okay. Actually, no, that's fine. No, don't worry. Let's recall company equals store dot recall by ID. So okay, so this is cool. Hang on a minute. So let me just come back to this. So we want, I know that's not working there, but I want to show something. Recalled flag equals store. So if I put the dot in here, IntelliJ will do its magic and it will tell me the methods I can use on here. And you'll see that we've got recall by ID and recall by name. But if over here, we've got, oh, why'd you make me into a liar? Oh, I know why it is. I know exactly why it is. Do I? Those ones I probably could do a re-export from properties. Dot. Why can't I do... Did I forget? I think I did. I think that's exactly what it is, right? No. Oh. Because I need to be here. Sorry, that's why I'm in the wrong place. Recall by ID, recall by name, recall by company, forced up TT where T has company. So recall by company should work unless... I know we've got stuff store flag. Interesting. Let's sort this function out as well. I might go back to having the I as ID here. Again, it's not ideal, but it means that I don't have to move this in here, right? So this is what I was talking about earlier, that actually it probably does make sense to have these implemented for everything where it's on the same type. So impl has company for anti. Yeah, this is going to get laborious. You can accept and I into your function instead. Yeah, I can. Then I won't be able to accept the entire thing, which I don't know if that makes a difference. Since the function only takes and self, you could only pass and yeah. So I could do that. Also, I mean, if I were to go back again. Oh, also UUID is copy, so I'm really overthinking this anyway. Because that should actually just be like that, and then I'm not moving it, I think. Oop. Oh my word, what have I done? Oh, my typing, it's everywhere. So I can do that because it's not even a reference at this point. It's a UUID is a things like an I128 or something. It's curious now. Oh, bytes. Yeah, so it's a sized array of U8s which will be copy because it's small enough. Oh yeah, it is a 128, 128 bits byte, 128. Oh my god, word. And if my brain keeps going this way, I might have to stop earlier than 10. But let's see where we get to. This isn't. Oh, okay. Trace bounds not specified has company, so. Wait, which bit's not? Flag has company was not satisfied. Did I miss it? Has name, has ID? I did! The has company has company is not because I probably mucked up on this, right? This isn't has company, this is has ID. Oops. I need to go to here because I mucked up here as well. Let's rename this to company ID as well, so it's like really clear. Back to our test. So let's actually make these work. Okay, so now what I was talking about should actually be the case if I just delete this for a second. We now have the recall by company on here, but we don't have it on here because company doesn't implement that thing. That's quite funny. They managed to pick the one thing that didn't implement it, but it should have done. So we have fixed that. I would like to do company, please. Company. I mean, the funny thing is, Yeah, it should be fine. I think that you are right there, Evan. It's going to be fine to do that, although I will need to change the base type as well. Oops. Recall by company can also take and then we can put ampersand in there. Now assert EQ recall flag. I mean, technically, I'm only the assert EQ here. Oh my goodness, did I not do it for flag either? I thought we do have partial EQ. Oh, vec flag, recall by, I've done this wrong, that's why. Recall by ID. I was showing that off and then realized that's not actually the correct thing to use. Okay, that's interesting. So that's fine. That should be fine. Borrow of mute value. Okay, we can just clone that going in. Yeah, maybe this is where I do want the ID to, for this specific, for all cases. I mean, again, we are just shoving the thing in there. Okay, so what I was thinking is that basically that ought to work because ID implements has ID, or UUID, which is what ID is, implements it. This probably is fine or not. Has ID, oh, is not implemented for it. Oh my word. Well, make me out to be a liar. Okay, has ID. I think here's probably fine to put it in because it's not our type. Impl UID. Sorry, impl has ID for UID. I almost feel like it's that. Base store, now fine, okay. So that's the only thing, that would be copy, so it'd actually be fine to pass in the owned version. So from a sort of a usability thing, I might go back to accepting both types and then allowing, well, anything with has ID and then implementing has ID for anything that is reference of something already implemented. Doesn't matter. For now, I just want to check that these work, which they do. So that's good. So that's the easy bit out of the way. I now have 36 minutes to do the hard bit. I'm not going to do JSON store for now. I probably do need object store. I might need object store. I think I do need object store. The reason is that for the combined stores where we have a single struct that has multiple stores inside of it that we'll use throughout our application, in that struct, I will want to be specific that company store can only be a store that stores companies. It's not enough to say that it has ID and, you know, or it is base store and it has recall by name. It has to have a very specific type. So in this case, I think it'll be okay to do, let's do pub mod object stores storage. Again, naming stuff is really hard, please forgive me. And then we'll do So the thing is, these aren't going to be concrete. They're going to be traits as well. So we can do company store. I think this is right. Did I write this down in here already? No, I think I did it on my other computer and not this one, which is nowhere near me. So I think it's going to be base store of type company and has recall by name of type company. And I think that's it, right? I have to spell company, right? Company. Oh, needs curly brackets, not a thing. So now we have a slightly more well-defined trait of company store, and a company store can be anything so long as it implements base store company and recall by name. So I think, I don't know if this would work. I'm just sort of fascinated now. If I were to do, nah, must include dine. Can I get away with impl? No. No, that doesn't work either. I think it'll be all right because we'll see. We'll see. Like I said, this is where it gets a bit more dicey. I would like to create the other ones though. I don't know if this will work. I'm just sort of fascinated now. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Chris already had to deal with my dodgy brain working not right earlier this week, so he's probably used to it by now. Let's see. Role store, and pub mod flag store. Giving terrible advice on your stream. Yeah, I was thinking about saying, like, I know how you feel, so yeah, I definitely struggle, especially once it's gone to a couple of hours in and I haven't drunk enough water again. And I even have an alarm. I've got like a little stream deck, which is very nice over here, which I've got a little button that just says water on it, and I push it and it sets a 25-minute timer to remind me to drink more fluids, and I just totally ignored it. Anyway, I think these are basically going to be the same. But not company. It'll be role. Where am I? Flag. Flag. I think the one with your stream, Chris, was actually all the information was there for me to not make that suggestion. It's been so long since I've done proper game dev, though. It's now absolute magic to me. I wouldn't mind going back to it, though. 891 I occasionally will have it historically done a couple of game jams together, which was a lot of fun. We did a fun game called Cosmic Booty that I really want to turn into a full game, but that's a whole other story. I probably wouldn't do that one in Godot, though, if I was going to make a new game. I'm trying to talk myself into turning Bevy, aren't I? Not now, Daniel, not now. So these ones also actually have an extra trait. He says rapidly moving on, which is recall by company, which also needs to be role. Game dev is fun. I'm still hoping, sorry, this is what Chris is saying. Game dev is fun. I'm still hoping to get this into a playable state for the jam submission. Also, Bevy as an intro point for new Rust users is a big win. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. I mean, I did, sorry, I'm going to go on another little sidetrack. On the Fierce Quest website, in the book, you'll see that you can actually see what I had planned. Oh, that's an old picture, as you can tell. And I did kind of want to go into Bevy, like right down here at the end in the intro to game dev. This was going to be like the entire collection. Like Iris was going to be all of this. But I think I don't want to put people off with large numbers. And And so I'm probably going to end with these 3. And I might do separate series for these ones. Not sure. I mean, some of the stuff in here, I'm not actually 100% sure if all of it is still the best thing to use. Crossbeam question mark is actually mentioned in the threads somewhere, I think, as well. Crossbeam is very cool. Again, like, I feel like I don't keep up well enough with Rust, even though I love it as a sort of a toy, not toy language, but like for all my stuff, I use Rust. But I have not done professional Rust since 2019. That's sad. Let's not think about that. I mean, jokingly, half jokingly, if anyone is hiring Rust developers and think that I'm all right, then let me know. Okay, so this gives us our sort of vague storage types. Now the bit I've been putting off. I don't know what to call this. I don't like stores. It's like amalgamated stores. I'm going to call it stores. No, it doesn't. What do I call it? I need a word for something that is like a bunch of stuff crammed together. Oh, that would be compactor. That's far too technical. It's compact. Let me have a look. I mean, compactor in terms of computing terms. Compactor. Sorry, I need to not that software. That's probably not what I'm after. Or maybe try programming. Or is that just is that from? Sorry, Evan. Is that from sort of software engineering, or is it like a general term? It is. It's kind of. I'm gonna go with general store, which is a very silly name. It's a bit jokey. Yeah. Trash compactor might be the right terminology for my code. I'm gonna go with general store because it's a little bit jokey. This is gonna get really weird now, I think. Oh, I did this wrong. Oh no, it's here. General store. Whoops. Oh, wait, did I rename something by mistake? Storage, storable. I think I did. Thought I did that wrong. General store. So this is going to be like a place to put all the stores at once. And my plan is you should be able to store different things in it and it will put them into the right place. How this is going to work, I'm not 100% sure. This is why I wasn't sure if I might need phantom data on the stores themselves in order to differentiate. Let's see how we get on, though. I think I'm going to cheekily put this one in here for now. The issue is what is going to be the issue here. So I'm going to need to be able to store a company and have it put it in a company store or store a... Okay, so this is where things get a bit weird. So we'll have a get store. I don't think this matters. This is going to get really weird, isn't it? I don't think this matters. In terms of types. So if, for example, I were to do doesn't like that, does it? All stores. And then I would like a company store. Now here's where things get weird. This is going to be this. And this is why I did that. And then let's do all of them. Flag store F. I think I should do F and R. F is a flag store. R is a role store. Role store. And then I would like to do import general store, company store for all stores. Do I need to fill in wrong number of arguments expected 3? This is going to get really weird, isn't it? Don't think I need that. I think I need that. And then this, and then it probably needs a reference. So let's go back and sort that out as well. It probably needs a mutable reference, actually. It's also going to get a bit weird. It's already used for generic kept, don't need that there. And cannot move, mute, and mute. S does not need to be there. S, oh, yeah, okay, company store. Doesn't like that. Because it has to be dine. So that's, no, I don't think it does. Ooh. Import traits not allowed outside functions. Can I go back to this then? I think it's going to have the same issue, actually. Trade bound F flag store is not satisfied. Oh, okay. That's an R, Daniel. That should be an R. I'm going to get N. I don't feel like this should work. I think this is not going to work. Get store is an incompatible type for traits. Expected mute C. That's actually fine. Get store has an incompatible type for trait. Why? This is more expected type parameter C. Found an opaque type. I mean, it's not going to be this, right? Ooh. Okay, I think I'm getting deeply nervous about this. If anyone wants to stop me at this point. So this is actually going to be F. And then returns F. And then that's going to be flag store. Is that going to work? I think probably the answer is going to be no, right? Conflicting implementations. Yeah, that makes sense. This is the bit that I was most unsure would actually work. I was really hoping to get away with having a really generic version here. So what can I get away with? Flag store. So Unfortunately, I think it might need to be something like the concrete version. Which then makes me think this isn't actually worth the oops, sorry, stub store company. Mutable reference to stub store company. And then let's just see what happens. So we'll keep the C and R for this one. This one is going to be stub store for flag. Oops. I just kind of, yeah, this has gone a bit off through. Generics and Rust. Yeah. You have come, if you've just joined, you have joined at the weirdest point. Everything else was fine up to this point, and I kind of knew, I think I've even got in my notes, like, this will be the hard part. So far I have not needed phantom types, but we'll see how we get on. So it looks like we might have to do a proper implementation. I feel like it shouldn't be necessary though. Stores. Self is unhappy here as well. Because subsort company is not satisfied. Okay, that's actually fine. So I think if I go back to sorry, storage, object storage, no, medium. I don't really want to do this either. Let's just check whether this works. Company store for stub store company. Oops. Oops. I keep doing that. It seems happy with that, which makes my problems go away. I don't like it. If in my heart it feels like I should be able to get away with this still being generic and then having an implementation that is concrete for the specific stub stores. So all stores here with its generic types should be able to implement general store to return each one of these. Okay, tell you what, we now know that it works with the concrete types. Let's go back to having the generic types and see if we can work out how to get there. So we're going back to this being C. I wonder if it was... No, I don't think it's going to be. Okay. C company store. I mean, it should be that, right? Let's duplicate. I think this is the problem though, because the generic here is too generic, if that makes sense. Will the types C, F, and R ever be the same? That's a great question. They shouldn't, but how do we guarantee that? Can I do not C and R? Maybe? That would be ridiculous, right? Not C, not R? Yeah. If not, you could try marker specialization with extra generic type you never use in general store. Okay, if not, you can try marker specialization. This feels like what you use in the builder pattern. It lets you do overlapping impulse as long as... Yeah, this is the same as the... Oh, wait, Evan, you're from Dioxys. Or you're working on that as a project. This is all... like, everything that I'm not touching right now is Dioxys in this project. This is like the one bit of it that's not. So yeah, this sounds like the builder pattern, which uses really weird marker traits as well. Let's have a think. We've got 14 minutes. I think we can do this, right? It's... I'm going to have to Google this, I think. If you've got any good... Is mark types having some property? They usually don't have any associated types and methods. So... Oh, wait, can I do... No. At the beginning of the stream, I actually, another person watching helped me turn the AI off because it was, even in IntelliJ, it's obnoxiously wrong, I'd say 2/3 of the time, and very unhelpful. What's frustrating, though, about that, and repeating myself for anyone who was there for it, is that I'm pretty sure that IntelliJ used to have pretty good suggestions that are not sort of part of the sort of language suggestions, but are sort of, you know, you just created a file called something and you started writing struct, you probably want to name the same thing as the file. I mean, I also have the same problem with things like TypeScript and AI, to be honest. Maybe it's just a me thing. Maybe I write really, really weird and archaic code. Oh, Swift. I have not touched Swift. I haven't touched iOS since Objective-C 2, so yeah. My one game in the App Store was Objective-C. I haven't. I've heard nice things about Swift, though. Thanks, Chris, for saying the thing that I was trying to avoid saying. Yeah. I mean, from a technical point of view, that is actually true. That's not how LLMs work. But from a personal point of view, they also just frustrate me. I'm still stuck on this marker thing. Like, I want to say that these things can't be the same type. I think it is going to end up being a phantom data thing, isn't it? Oh my goodness. I need to, maybe if I remind myself of the builder pattern. Tray all stores. Oh. How does that work? Tray all stores CFR M equals a unit type. Then in your impulse, you can impulse stores marker 1, marker 2, marker 3. Oh, yeah. And then I think I then do need the phantom data. No, maybe not for this one. Let's give it a go. So we are thinking something like this, but that will be, yeah, I think it has to be like that to get around it. And then, oops. So So this will then be the markers. Okay, got it. So this is something like, is it a type or is it a... Is it that? Marker should be on general store on the tray. Oh, beg your pardon. Cool. So this is secretly why I decided to start streaming, was exactly for this reason, so someone else can teach me how to be a better engineer. So we'll drop that, and then, oh, okay, I got it. So I think I'm right with the type marker 1 equals, I mean, technically I could be a bit more specific and say like company marker, company store marker. That, I think, again, please do company store marker. Oof, nope, not there. Don't need that anymore. And then we'll do a flag store marker. Needs to be a unique type, like struct. Okay. Cool. Going to be a like a unit struct. Ah, it works. Right, that did it. Did that do it? That's not the right thing being returned, but oh, hang on a minute. Have I missed something else out here? I have. I still need to do... this, right? Oh. I don't really want dynamic dispatch. That's the thing I was trying to avoid. I mean, it's not the end of the world. Oh, wait. I'm overthinking things, aren't I? Oh, I think I made a mistake somewhere else here. Because the issue is that... Or maybe I haven't overthought it. Maybe maybe I have completely overthought it. Maybe this would work anyway. Let's just write some tests and see what happens. That should be rule store. Maybe I'm annoying. Could you slightly explain what is the code you're doing? Yes, no, that's absolutely fine. So I'm trying to I'm building an application which has a concept of, it's a job tracker. It's got a concept of companies, roles you might be applying for, green and red flags for that company. That's kind of it at the moment. I want to add a lot more stuff to it, but I realized that the way I'd sort of built the storage mechanisms for it required quite a lot of boilerplate that was the same in different implementations. So for example, like the flag store and the role store both had specific code for getting flags and roles for a specific company, but the code was identical. The only thing that was different was the types. And so this whole stream has just basically been me replacing all of that. Mute R, what did I muck up here? Get store. Oh, it's that one. So then, okay, let's have a look. Oh, I need to make a actual implementation. So, oh no, we've got our rules. Yeah. Okay, we'll without going too much further into sort of like general code. I hope that sort of explained it. Oh, sorry, I didn't quite finish explaining this. So the specific part that we're at here is that throughout the application, which is all written in Dioxys, I have different bits of the stores to talk to, and the code for that got really messy as well. So part of the rewrite is trying to make all of the stores communicatable through a single object without having to specify which one you're actually after, just by using the type system instead. So if you shove a company into it, it should get stored in the company store. If you shove a role into it, it should get stored in the role store. So that's the specific bit that we're working on now, is that this get store thing will basically help us do the implementation for the other bits, which I haven't done yet. So give me 1 second. Wait, have I? Do I need to... Yeah, there is something. Hang on, there is something up here. I am missing a step. See, if you hadn't asked the question, I would have missed that step entirely. So we've got our stub storage here. So this is the concrete implementation of that. I think I might just need to do this again, but because I can use generics, I only ever need to do it one more time. Well, like for each physical thing that I add, I shouldn't. Yeah, let's have a crack. So, impl. No, sorry, it was base store, right? Base store t. See what happens. For. No, here's where it goes horribly wrong, right? I don't know which type. Wait, can't do this, can I? I think that's going to be wrong. See, that's basically the effect I'm trying to achieve. Is that I want to be able to store based on the type that is coming in. It's possible that the way I've done the general store is just incorrect. No, hang on, it's not the general store. Wait, it's all stores. And it's unhappy that I've got placeholder. I mean, yeah, Rust's generics are not normally this hard, and I knew I'd be walking into a trap with this one. Like, everything else in here has gotten simpler with the use of generics. So... Sorry, I have to defend Rust's honor a little bit here, apparently. Teasing. So, for example, we've got these are the generic implementations. So something that can recall something by name has it doesn't matter what it's recalling, so long as it's implemented has name and is clone. And then the recall by name itself, because you're giving it a name, it has to implement has name. And then you get a result of vectors coming out of the other end. So from that point of view, the generics are really easy. Where it gets a little bit more difficult is when you've got sort of generics surrounding generics, which gets a little bit, it does get a little bit more complicated then. So the issue that I am ramming myself into here is that I would like to basically have, get to the point where I could do, let's do tmod, tfun. And I'll explain the code, test, store everything. And then we'll do like company. Hey, 91, welcome back. You have joined at the worst moment, which is a minute before I'm was going to end, and I've not solved this at all. Company, new name, and then we'll do let flag equal flag new green. Company.id, good, not toString, and role equal role new ID. Okay, did I miss something? I think I might have done. Date applied. That's fine. Timestamp. Now we'll be fine for tests. And then the bit that I would like to do is basically let general store equal. It's going to be, actually, it's technically in all stores with these bits in. So company store is going to be a stub store company. Flag store role store. Oops. Didn't we do a default? Did I not? Wait, stub storage, is that what I called it? No, I did call it stub store. So import it for me? Why not? What's the bet I didn't make it public or something very silly? Pubstruct, pubmod, pubmod. Very weird. Okay. See where we get to. Use crate. Storage. Medium. Stub storage. Stub store. Yeah, it's already here. What have I done? Something horrible. Oh, I know what it is. No, do I? Default. This isn't going to make the right type of stores, is it? Trait bound. Role store is not satisfied. Oh. Okay, it's fine. That's okay. That was to be expected. Okay, that's very weird. And then what would be even weirder? Why would you? It should be that. Oh yeah. That needs to be mutable. And this is where we start hitting issues. So I've done something wrong. Oh. Oh, yeah. Okay, so it's going to be a... Oh my god. Base store T? That can't be right either. Stop myself confusing myself because that's the generic, so we'll do that. So okay, so it's not where. So that herein is the issue, is that I don't actually care when storing a company what the other types are. I only care that it's a stub store for that. So maybe what I need to do is maybe it needs to be, oh, sorry. Maybe it needs to be the CFN that we've been using. Oh, well, yeah, that works. Oh, God. Okay, fine. C. This is a base store for C. Base store for C again. and now it's fn over here. It's not ideal because we've referred to C as being the store at the top. Yeah, that's going to be an issue as well. So we can't get a mutable reference because it's not sized, because it's dynamic dispatch. Okay, I knew this would be hard, and I didn't really leave myself enough time to do it. So I think in Rust, you can pass a subclass T where base class T is expected. So there's no inheritance. So subclasses and base classes aren't they don't work the same way. So Rust has traits instead. So you can say that you want something. So actually, sorry, I'll go over that because I think it's an interesting difference with other languages. There's no inheritance in Rust. So instead we get things like, the way that I've been looking at this is we've got a has company here, and then I can actually, no, that's probably a bad example. Let's use has ID. So has ID is the trait, and then in my not you, I think, where did it go? Storage property base store here. So in our base store, this is another trait, but we are taking something that has ID in this bit here. So that's sort of how we get the polymorphism of sort of like having inheritance. So anything that has ID can be passed in at this point. I was sort of mentioning earlier that this makes things slightly a bit weird for things like recall by company. Company ID is actually anything that has ID, so that's not great because you could arguably pass a flag in here and it will attempt to look it up by the flag's ID, which will obviously give you no results back. But that's fine for now, I think. I mean, if I wanted to get really clever about it, I could just have a has company ID that is only applied to company and then take that in this field, which would be fine. I could also just pass in the company because company will probably be available or quickly available. So in Swift, traits are called protocols and are used to constrain generic stuff. Yeah, I think that's probably similar to how they're being used here. I think I might give up, which is another, I feel like all my streams end up with me giving up. Although I normally do get back around to fixing the problem later, this one feels in a much worse state than previous. These are all wrong as well. I mean, technically, okay, you know what? No, I'm going to call it a day there. I think I need to have a really big think about this. Otherwise, I'm going to be going for another hour, and I really would like to get up in the morning. I will probably shove this code onto the GitHub repo if anyone wants to check it out later. Obviously, such is the reality of having a time limit. I mean, time limits, yeah. Time limits are good in that they help you sort of get to where you're going. I think my potential attention deficit disorder makes it much harder to do on a stream as well. But I think I learned a lot here. So particularly big shout out to Evan, who helped with the marker stuff. And I'll see if I can make that make sense as I go along. And yeah, do join the Discord. There is a channel in there specifically for this nonsense. And yeah, like and subscribe, I guess, usual end of YouTube stuff. But thank you everyone for your help. I hope this, maybe not this last bit, but I hope at least the first couple of hours sort of helped people understand a bit more about Rust traits and stuff. And we did get super advanced at this point, and I will try and work it out. And then if I can get it done before next week, I might do another stream next week and explain what the hell, how the hell to do it. Thank you for coming, everyone. But yeah, I will, see you all around later. Thank you, everyone, again. Bye.